Everyone, hope you're all doing well. I'm going to be doing a video today on all of my various poke builds that I use for Clan Wars, or that I have been using for Clan Wars over the last month or so. When did I get pokes? I think it was about a month or so about pokes. There's going to be 3 builds in particular that I'm going to show. The first one will be what I believe is to be the best, which will be the Hron King. This is my personal favorite just because of the quantity has a quality of its own type of deal. Basically, it just spams out poke very quickly because of the king and the reload. You have 3 porcupines, all of the pokes on armor mori. I prefer this over, say, things like Capcans, because anyone who has seen Clan Wars at the moment will know that fat dog builds, or fat wheeled builds specifically, are the meta. So you'll have things like really fat Draco Yokozunas, or you'll have like Breaker Bricks on like a Humpback or something. And they're pretty much the meta at lower tiers because they're very easy to use and they're very effective. And even if you crap on them, you have like 6,000 HP and you're a nuisance. So you have to be dealt with. You can't one-shot those things, you know. So the best solution in the game for those types of builds is just porcupines, just flat out damage. And a Hadron King does that in spades. It's really, really good. Big fan of this build. Anyone who's been watching my channel somewhat frequently will know that I wanted to try out a Griffin hover, poke hover that is, instead of a Hadron. So the Griffin is, say, it was right here. I had a Griffin, no, yes. I had a Griffin build and I even put a spark on it to try that out. The idea was you can cloak up, get into good spots, take positions, and then if the enemy team switches to, say, a hover comp, because you can't, when you're building a build, you can't just focus it purely anti-dog because of builds switch all the time. So the Draco team isn't stupid, or at least a smart one isn't. They'll have a secondary comp whereby they'll have like hovers. So then if you go too much into beating Dracos and they go hovers, they have an easy win. So the idea for the Griffin was that I can fight dogs with it if need be. It's got a Capcans to fall back on. And if I gotta go up against a hover comp, I can use the Griffin perk with the speed to do better against hovers. Problem with that was that, yeah, basically it kind of doesn't work because of energy consumption. So in pushing hovers, you need a Yeti. But if you want to get a Yeti on a design like this with 2 Capcans, for instance, then you will need to drop 1 energy, and I'd have to be like, I probably reload module to green. That doesn't really work. So the only way I think a Griffin poke cover would work in the slightest is with a Yeti and 4 pokes instead of 3, because then you would, and get rid of the Capcans, you'd save 2 energy. You swap the 3 pokes for 4, so you have 4 porcupines, save 2 energy, then do like a Yeti Oculus. But I don't have 4 porcupines, so I might get a 4th actually, now that I think about it, because I'm probably going to sell a Spark. I'll try that out, but at the time of building I didn't have porcupines. But the better one is just a Hadron, if you ask me, because say for this Hadron build, if I wanted to push Scorpion hovers, you got the 3 pokes, which are 18 energy, you got a King, which is another 6. So I have basically 3 spare energy for cloaks and decloaking on this build. So I could just get rid of the Oculus, put a Yeti down here, which is probably what I'm going to do on the weekend. I can even put a Yeti on the armor, I bet. Yeah, Yeti underneath here on the armor. If I go up against a hover team, I can just cloak up, push a flank, and then I appear out of essentially nowhere. Or I appear at least close, at least, before the verifier kicks in. And I can do like a wide flank. And then I won't have the top speed of a blue hover, I'll have a red, but this is very tanky. So you have, say, a 3000 HP, almost 3000 HP hover appearing out of nowhere. I've got keens, it's got bumpers, it's got a reload module, and a Colossus in front of the cabin, both on an armor that you're going to have to chew through. So this is the better one in my opinion. If you had a choice of all the builds I'm going to show you, I would pick this Hadron build just because it can keep spamming pokes. And if you're on a hover comp, so for example, on, I think it was Monday, for a while we ran 2 Scorpions, 2 pokes, which is a really nice comp because you can just keep spamming and you don't have to pay. You aim when they get close, like when a dog is close, you have to aim more. But before that, you're just moving and shooting the entire time, and it's just an issue. Like if you have 2 of these, it's so many porcupines you have to deal with, and 1 good shot can screw a breaker. So yeah, this is the one I would go for, but I have two others. I also have the Griffin, which I showed, which I do like. It's good for what it is, but I don't think it's the best. And I have my, what's this, Beholder? Yeah, Beholder. I'll show the Beholder as well. I guess there'll be some guys out there who might not have a certain carbon, so the Beholder's nice. I did start with Capcans, but Capcans in the current meta don't work against the fat builds, just because if they're moving at any decent speed, they'll pull straight through it, whereas a Firebug will get grappled. But yeah, so I wouldn't do Capcans on Porcupines these days. I'd probably just go for more Porcupines or King Hadron if the cheaper version you want like a free Porcupine and a King. If you have the money for 4 porks, then yeah, you might want to do 4 porks. But in terms of the build itself, they're all the same design. As you can see, the carbons or anything that changes. They all have the same things attached to the Omamori as well. So in terms of Omamori placement, you will have the Jenny, the 3 porcupines. The cabin will not be on the Omamori, but the Colossus and the reload module will be. So you have the Jenny, the guns, the engine, and the reload on the armor, which I really, really like. And yeah, it's just tanky as hell, and it does its job, and it's really good. I've probably covered this before, but these parts by here will help cover the porcupines, and they have a bit of flame resistance, which is pretty nice. And yeah, I just really, really like it. I figured that given that the meta of fat dogs, there's going to be a lot of players who want to deal with these fat dogs, because it's kind of you get into a situation where it's either you want to beat them or you join them, because you can't deal with them, obviously. So porcupines are a solution to that. If any of the guys in the clan has porks and you're going up against a Draco team, you might want to use them, because they are quite effective, especially on Helper. So yeah, that's it. I will do a stream on Saturday morning for everyone, and I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll catch you the weekend, guys.